I see you've arrived. Please, come in. I apologize for having been unavailable these past several days, especially given the way our last meeting ended. I've found it necessary to conduct surveillance on a number of suspects, which yielded nothing of value to the task force, and I was unable to divert my attention from that purpose for its duration. Before you say anything, you should know that this surveillance has enabled me to zero in on one suspect in particular. The reason I've called for you this evening is to tell you that I will be making my first move to confront him. Tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I doubt it'll lead to a direct interaction, but I have a feeling he'll take note of me all the same. And I said my surveillance yielded nothing of value to the task force, not that it yielded nothing of value to me personally. I am all but certain that I've correctly identified Kira. I can't prove it, not yet, but his ego has become too grandiose to resist announcing himself, though I doubt his juvenile perspective allows him the self-awareness to realize what he's done. He's just smart enough to cover his tracks, but still too naive to comprehend that his duplicity reveals him all the same. I know what it means, and I... Please, I've handled this poorly. I would like to start again. If that's all right with you. Thank you. You've always been so patient with me. I did want to tell you my plans. Things have moved quickly in this investigation, and I want you to stay informed. I regret that we have so little time to discuss recent events before we have to move forward, but... that's not why I called for you to meet with me tonight. Not exactly, at least. My entire purpose, if one could call it that, is to uncover what others would have remain hidden, to give voice to the truth. I never imagined I would find it this difficult to state the obvious. But I have to address this now. If I don't, I put everything at risk. The truth is, I have found it increasingly difficult to focus on this case, and it's because of you. No, please, don't misunderstand. I haven't changed my mind. You are more important to me than this case. It's because of you that I can be something more than a forensic machine. But something has changed. Not my mind, but the rest of me. Since our last meeting, things have been different, and I'm still competent to perform my function, but I'm less, well, efficient. Every time I learn something new about this case, I can't help but see your face flash across my thoughts. My heart races, my palms sweat. I suppose I don't need to tell you that criminal investigations hardly make me nervous. And yet, I am nervous. I grew more anxious every day, waiting for the chance to see you again. Especially once I determined what I must do to corner Kira. It's not that I'm afraid for my life. I've known since Lind L. Taylor's murder that I may have to sacrifice myself to bring Kira to justice. If that comes to be, then I accept that outcome. No, this is something else. Something... I don't know what this is, but if you'll humor me. I've thought of a way I may be able to find out. I'll explain it in time, but for now... Will you help? Thank you. What I need is for you to touch me. Please. Wait, that's not enough. I need to know whether this is the source of my distraction, or if... No, that doesn't matter. Just kiss me. Again. That feels good. I admit, I've occasionally imagined your mouth on my neck, like this ever since... Your hands... Are you... in my shirt? Wait. Here. Let me help. There. Now, what are you? Ah, I see. I certainly won't complain. I like the way your lips feel on my chest. Keep going. I'm glad to know I inspire such boldness. How to excite me like that? Ignore it. It's not enough to feel your mouth on my chest anymore. Please. I'm sorry, it's Watari. He won't stop until I answer. Yes? That's fine, Watari, but news about the investigation will have to wait. Please, try to refrain from calling again until I contact you. If something urgent comes up, I trust you to rely on our contingency plan. Thank you. I'll let you know when I'm finished here. Goodbye. Now, where were we? Not so fast. I have a hypothesis or two about what will excite you. Assuming you don't mind if I interrupt to do a little research. I didn't think you would. Forgive me. I can't. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I finally had a moment in which the case wasn't on my mind at all. I was only enjoying my time with you. But as soon as Watei called... Well, I suppose I have an answer to my question now. Yes, I do owe you an explanation. But first, come closer. Please, I'd like to hold you while I explain. Thank you. I should start by saying that I didn't reveal the whole truth earlier. Kira's identity isn't the only thing I've learned since we last met. In fact, I was only able to deduce where to conduct surveillance after receiving an anonymous tip about something else. I didn't want to alarm you, especially if my recent lack of focus was more physical in nature. If that issue could be resolved with a night in your arms, I saw no reason to risk causing you concern. But I see that I was too optimistic, or inexperienced. Or both. What I learned is that someone who used to work under me as an investigator in a prior case was almost certainly murdered by Kira. No, we weren't close. I suspect she was investigating independently, and Kira felt threatened. The details aren't relevant. At least not right now. What's important is that her death caused me to consider that you're in more danger now than you have ever been. Just being close to me is a risk in and of itself. We knew that from the beginning, but as I said, I believe I know who Kira is, and tomorrow I'll encounter him in person for the first time. The risk is greater than ever that Kira may discover who you are, and if he does, I have no doubt that he would kill you to demoralize me in an attempt to thwart the investigation. He has no compunction about killing innocents who get in his way. And from his perspective, anyone who allies themselves with me is not innocent. That's how he thinks. Like a child. Black and white. Punitive. Unforgiving. I realize now that every time I saw your face in my thoughts, it wasn't because of some callow infatuation. It was because I'm terrified of losing you. Yes, I know. You've made it clear you're not going anywhere. You're as brave as any of us. Certainly braver than I feel right now. I can't help but worry. I've always told you that you're more important to me than this case, and it's true. This is the first time I've ever prioritized you over the case in a tangible way. And the fear that Kira may discover you. What kind of detective does that make me? I've never had anything to lose before, and now, when the stakes are highest, I find myself becoming unfocused, becoming afraid. Can I hope to catch Kira if I'm compromised this way? And if I can't, what does that mean for you? Do I have to choose between keeping you safe and keeping you with me? Thank you. No, you're right. I'm not compromised. I can still think. And for all his practical cunning, Kira isn't as clever as he thinks he is. But he is passionate. I'll give him that. Well, the thought didn't come out of nowhere, but it does merit some elaboration. I believe that Kira has always had a personal motivation from the start. A grand vision. His values enforced on the rest of the world. That's what drives him. I, on the other hand, have never held to such idealistic standards. I solve cases because I am L. Because I can. Because it gives my mind something to do. But that's all. Until now. Now, I find myself wanting to catch Kira not to amuse myself, but to ensure your safety. There is nothing I won't do to protect your life. That's what drives me. And if now I have a motivation as powerful, as intrinsically personal as Kira's, The only logical conclusion is that I am that much better equipped to face him with the same vigor with which he will face me. No. With more. Why more? Isn't it obvious? Because, however sincerely he thinks he holds them, his ideals are still nothing more than narcissistic fantasy. If he bothered to examine his beliefs closely, they would fall apart under scrutiny. But my feelings for you have no such vulnerability. In fact, the more I examine them, the more certain I am that the way I feel about you is absolute and immutable. A simple fact. I love you. Yes, really. I admit I'm not an expert in human pair bonding, but I have no doubt that my attachment to you is authentic and stable. Not romantic? Well, I suppose this isn't the first time you've accused me of spoiling the moment. Speaking of which, I know our evening was redirected. But I promise there will be more evenings, uninterrupted ones. For as long as I'm alive, I'll see to that. That's to your liking, I take it? Good. I admit, I'd be disappointed if I were to lose my newfound advantage over Kira due to romantic ineptitude. We should be leaving soon. I've been in this hotel room for much more time than I had anticipated. The longer we stay, the more we risk detection. Still, I want to feel you in my arms like this for just a few more minutes. Does that sound agreeable? All right, then. By the way, I met with the task force here earlier. This room is definitely bugged. We should really thank Watari for the diversion.